Hi, everybody. Great to see you. It's Tim back with you in our journey through the Bible, one day at a time. Our scripture reading for today was in 2 Samuel, chapter 17 and 18. The story continues as David struggles with the kingdom and with his own life. David is seen running out of the city of Jerusalem and then out of the country. He's going over the Jordan River. His son Absalom is trying to kill him. The kingdom is divided. What went wrong? David was outstanding in so many areas. He's described as a man after God's own heart, and God chose him to replace Saul for that very reason. We can look at his military victories and his wisdom in dealing with other kings from other nations. The Psalms that he wrote um, that are part of Scripture, even to today. His ability to unify the kingdom. David was great in so many areas. But one thing about the Bible is it always tells us the truth about the people that are found in its pages and the stories that we have. And one area where David seems to have struggled is in being a successful dad. When you look at his family, and some of the things that they have done. His oldest son, Amnon, for example, is responsible in part for raping his half sister, and his son Absalom is responsible for killing his brother Amnon and stealing the kingdom. But did David have a part in all of this? Well, let's be honest. I think he did. I have a part in the direction that his family had taken when we see that his sons and his children and um, how they conducted their lives. Maybe David was busy running the kingdom and he didn't have a time to spend as a dad. He had 20 children, and it's a lot of children to guide. But I'll tell you something: for any person who has children, there's no job more important than being a dad. I don't want to burden anyone down with too much guilt, because the truth is, all of us who have children probably wish we could be doing a better job right now, or wish we had done a better job as we look back in the past. But by God's grace, we can have some success. Proverbs 22:6 says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he was old, he will not depart from it." I wonder if David um, maybe could have spent more time training those 20 children. And when we say train, we're talking about pointing them in the right direction, giving them guidance for things that they should do, warnings for things that they should avoid, and watching the friends that they have and screening those people who have an influence on the royal family. There are a lot of things that David um, should have done, and I wonder if maybe he was lacking in some of those areas when we talk about training children. And then there's the issue of correction that's necessary for all children at some point. We read in Proverbs 22:15, "Foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him." Proverbs 23:13 and 14 says, "Withhold not correction from the child, for if thou beatest him with a rod, he shall not die. Thou shalt beat him with a rod, and shall deliver his soul from hell." It gets serious when you look at language like that in the Bible, doesn't it? That their eternal destiny could be at stake. In the New Testament, we read that for pastors, this is a bottom line requirement. Titus 1:6 says, "If any be blameless, the husband of one wife, having faithful children," then he meets those minimal requirements as a pastor. Uh, 1 Timothy 3:4 says the same thing. A pastor must be one who ruleth well in his own house, having his children in subjection with all gravity. And the same with the deacons in 1 Timothy 3:12. Let the deacons be the husbands of one wife, ruling their children and their own houses well. I don't think we're talking about perfection in our children. And if that was true, there'd be no deacons and no pastors. But we're looking at the general direction that you can see in a man's family when we're talking about these things. But they apply to all parents, and especially dads. And let me encourage you today as we look at David and maybe this area where he could have done better in his life, and let that be a warning to all of us. Um, put the time in, do what's necessary, do the hard things, even in terms of discipline and correction for your children, and train them up in the way that they should go. Think about it today, will you? Kind of heavy, isn't it, when you stop to think about it? But, and then we'll get back in the scripture. Tomorrow our reading is in 2 Samuel 19 and 20. Read that, and I'll be back with you again to continue our thoughts.